call this meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. And before we do our roll call, I would just like to state for all the members of the community who joined us tonight, the Board of Adjustment meetings are quasi-judicial in nature. All decisions of the board will be based on competent, substantial evidence, including testimony provided in this meeting. Any person who is not an applicant or agent who wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located on the side table by the door and turn them into the clerk. That table right back there. Each member of the public who wishes to speak will be given 3 minutes to speak on each item. Please refrain from speaking from the audience or from applause or cheering. And please silence your cell phones. Now, may I please have a roll call?
John Moreland.
Here.
Owen Curley. Alexi Gonzalez.
Here.
Jeff Trular.
Here.
Dan O'Malley. Todd Smith.
Here.
Jennifer Williams.
Here. Thank you. I now move to the approval of minutes. If everybody's had a chance to review the Board of Adjustment meeting minutes from the March 15th meeting, and could please verify that everything looks good, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion. Approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any correspondence?
No.
And seeing no old business, we will move on to new business. And in absence of our vice chair this evening, Mr. Trugar will be stepping in as vice chair, and will read the first case for us, please.
First case is BOA 22-100020. Applicant Mr. Gene Bakes. Owner Marsh Point Multifamily 1 LLC, Gene Bakes. Property address 220 5th Avenue South. Parcel ID 175-964-0000. Legal description lots 3, 4, 5, and 6. Block 53, Pablo Beach South. Current zoning C1. 34-340E3C1 for a front yard setback of 15 feet in lieu of 20 feet minimum. 34-340E3C2 for easterly side yard of 9 feet in lieu of 10 feet minimum. And a westerly corner side yard of 10 feet in lieu of 20 feet minimum. 34-340E3C3 for rear yard setback of 17 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum. 34-34E3D 1, 2, and 3 dwelling units that reflect the existing size units in lieu of required minimum size, and 34-377 for 0 parking spots in lieu of 2 required per unit, all to rectify the existing nonconformities of an existing multifamily dwelling.
Okay, as a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication they wish to disclose about this agenda item?
I've had none. I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
Okay, would the applicant or agent or owner please come forward to be sworn in and give your presentation? And you can be sworn into the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is John Barkas, 2009 Marsh Point Road, Neptune Beach, Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Bacchus. And can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
Yes, the building was constructed in 1969 before the current land use code was adopted. The building remains as built in 1969. It does not meet current setback requirements on any of the setbacks. It doesn't meet the current zoning minimum size requirements for the land use code adopted after it was constructed, and it does not have enough on-site parking as currently required by the land use code. The variance application is essentially to provide a variance for all those nonconformities that now exist as a result of the adoption of the land use code after the building was constructed, before the land use code was instituted, if that makes sense. The reason for us to do this variance is essentially for insurance purposes. There is a big issue with regards to insurance requirements from a lender's perspective if we cannot build back in the event of a catastrophic loss, the number of units that exist, because that's a detrimental effect on the future
parked there. I'm guessing that they are parked there, that they're residents. And on the property, boundary that's been superimposed, yes, right there. It looks as though the vehicles are half in, half out. Is that what's sort of prompting the parking request? That people are parking there right now, but technically they're not parking spots because the back half of them is on city property?
Yes, in essence, the design of the parking doesn't meet the current parking design requirements, and also I would say probably more than half of that property line is reflected in the actual property line of the survey. Most of the cars actually in the right of way, so those aren't their spaces per se. They don't actually have any legal spaces on the property.
Right.
So we have half spaces for less than the minimum required. If you look at the survey, that's a good way to justify them.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, hearing none, I will now open the public hearing. I don't believe we don't have any speaker cards. Are there any members of the audience who didn't get a chance to fill out a speaker card and would like to speak on this item? Okay, in that case, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion, and be seated. Is there a motion to discuss?
I move that we approve BOA 2-1000020. It's presented and discussed because it was, I think there's true hardship. Well, before the second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Well, I see the conflict and the hardship. I just, I think you know my feelings on this in perpetuity on the building forever and ever of this non-conformity in Jacksonville Beach. And as I said, it goes down, build back the same thing again. But you understand the hardship.
Would anybody care to move that we amend the motion on the floor to attach a stipulation that these variances, if approved, carry only with the existing structure? Would that be the proper wording?
That seems appropriate.
Well, actually, it seems to me that what we're doing then is we're saying we're going to condition it only to the current ownership. So,
Current structure.
current structure.
So if they tear it down, either this owner or a future owner, if they were to tear it down to build something back, then they would have all this relief.
They also have the different size of units as well.
Okay. If somebody wants to move on my motion that way.
I think Christian may have a comment.
I was just going to add, the use of multifamily is allowed in this zoning district, so if the building were destroyed, they could build it back and potentially meet the requirements. Maybe not, but they could seek a different variance at that point if they couldn't meet parking or setbacks and still accomplish what they currently have. But it likely wouldn't have to be in the same footprint, so I don't think there's any harm in conditioning it to the existing building.
Okay, in that case, do we have a motion to amend the current motion?
I'd like to make the motion, amend to the current motion on the floor to amend it to the existing structure.
Second?
Second.
May we have a roll call vote to amend the motion?
John Moreland,
Yes.
Judge Shular,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes, so the motion to amend the motion has been approved. So I guess, do we just vote on the motion as amended now? Okay, then, can we please have a roll call vote for the motion as amended to, condition the property that, I'm sorry, the public hearing portion has been closed.
I just wanted
Should
to
we-
understand exactly what does it mean for the current structure, if that makes sense.
Sure,
Speaker, I think we're right now in the middle of motions. I think we can come back to that.
so can we have a roll call vote on the amended motion, please? approved as conditioned, and I think staff would gladly go over the particulars of that with you.
If you just, real quick, can
Yeah.
okay. So in essence, the variance is approved based on the existing building. If for some reason you had to completely replace the building, you could go back and build a new building. It's just that the provisions of the setbacks and those sorts of things are unique to this structure. So the new building might need different variances to be able to comply. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Okay, can we call the next case, please?
Case number BOA, number 22-100021, Mr. Gene. Bacchus, I'm sorry, my apologies. Owner, Marshpoint Multifamily 1, LLC, Gene Bacchus. Property address 207 9th Avenue North, parcel ID 174-533-0000, lots 7, 8, 9, and 10, block 103, Pablo Beach. Improvement Company's replat of northern portion of Pablo Beach. Current zoning C1-RN2. 34-34E3C1 for front yard setback of 14 feet in lieu of 20 feet minimum. 34-340E3C2 for an easterly corner side yard back set of 9 feet in lieu of 20 feet minimum, and a westerly side yard setback of 7 in lieu of 10 feet minimum. 34-340E3C3 for rear yard setback of 7 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum. 34-340E3D123 and dwelling units that reflect the existing size units in lieu of the required minimum space. And 34-377 for zero parking in lieu of 2 required spaces per unit to rectify existing nonconformities to existing multi-family dwelling.
Thank you. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication on this agenda item?
I have had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none. Okay, would the applicant or owner please come forward to be sworn in and give your presentation?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
John Bacchus, 2009 Marshpoint Road, Neptune Beach.
Thank you. And can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
This hardship is very much similar in nature to the previous hardship described. Similar building as on the previous lot, same size, same considerations for setback on the northeast, west and south property lines, parking and unit sizes, all nonconformities for the property built in 1948 according to the property record prior to the adoption of the current land use code. So the considerations essentially are exactly the same as the previous application we just discussed.
Thank you. We don't have any speaker cards for this. Oh, sorry. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Same consideration. Same question. I've none.
I've none.
Okay.
This building also going to have renovations in the future?
We are working on some renovations, not to the extent of the other property. It has a higher occupancy. The major issue we have is getting available, capable, and priced labor for improvements that make sense in the current market. The environment is short on labor. Material cost is crazy, and almost anything we do on these buildings requires them to be sprinkled, which is a major cost and requires vacating a bunch of the current residents in order to achieve. So yes, improvements will be made, but at a slower pace over time than on the other property that we discussed.
And this is also for purposes of insurance that you're doing this?
Yes, ma'am, it's the same consideration, same insurance company, same market, pretty much exactly the same consideration, same building, built by the same people at the same time. Now, that's why I said we believe the other building was built earlier than the property record. We haven't found another one built in the 60s, so, but neither to say it's all built before the current land use code was adopted. Great buildings and great locations. I can tell you they are extremely well constructed. I don't foresee a total loss unless we have a category 6 storm load through here that flattens everything. Because everything is, I've never seen anything constructed like this. The The interior walls are solid poured concrete reinforced rebar. I've heard some owners tell me that the buildings were built for military use. I've heard all kinds of stories about that. They were built to be mortar resistant after World War II. That's something that I can almost wrap my head around and believe, but I don't know. That's all story. They don't seem to be going anywhere from a structural standpoint, at least.
Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant at this time? All right. I will now open the public hearing portion of this agenda item. We don't have any speaker cards. Is there anybody from the audience who has not filled out a speaker's card who wishes to speak on this item? Hearing none, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back before the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve BOA 22-100021, with the stipulation that the variances that are approved pertain only to the current structure.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Jeff,
I'm sorry. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes. Mr. Bacchus, your second motion has been, or second application has been approved as conditioned.
Thank you very much.
Can we call the next case, please?
BOA, case number 22-100022, applicant Eric Griggs, owner for his Ultimate Glory LLC, Eric Griggs, property address 134 First Street South, parcel ID 175-603-0000, legal description, south 39 feet of lot 8, lot 12, Cobble Beach South, current zoning CBD, 34-338E1C1 for a front yard setback of 10 feet in lieu of 20 feet minimum, 34-338E1C2 for a corner yard side yard of 0 feet in lieu of 10 feet minimum, and a combined side yard of 5 feet in lieu of 15 feet minimum, 34-338E1C3 for a rear yard of 20 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum, and 34-338E1E for lot coverage of 58 in lieu of 35 feet to allow construction of new single-family dwelling.
Thank you, Mr. Trular. And please remember, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak once we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication on this agenda item?
I've had none.
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 Okay, would the applicant or owner please come forward to be sworn in and give your presentation?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Eric Briggs, 932 First Street North, Jacksonville Beach.
Thank you. And can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
Yes, it's a non-conforming lot that I purchased to build my single family residence on, but I then learned that in the central business district, the setbacks for single family homes, there's a large disparity between multifamily and single family. And so I attempted to put a multifamily because in the central business district that allows 0 setbacks. But I have to get 4 garage spaces on the lot. And because it's
looking at
structure that's on there is 1920s, it's probably 90-some%.
That's what I was asking. I must be about survey on that.
Yeah, so it's bulldozed and put a new single family.
Looks like you don't have any push outs for the building, kept it uniform as you could.
Yes. Yeah, when I first came with the single family, I had a bigger footprint, so I'm coming back, attempting to make the footprint much smaller, and got the next door neighbor, Mr. Rubin, we discussed it, and got his buy-in to it, he objected originally, but we're now on the same page with this particular building.
And you only need two parking spaces with this.
Yes, right.
So you got
That
two
size. I mean, it just, the size being very difficult to fit it on the lot, it just looks like 4 garage bays, basically. I mean, that's what it is.
And my question is, I guess for Christian, but what happens to the multifamily variance that was previously approved?
It was, well, this would be a different use. I guess that's probably a better question for Sandy. I would assume it would still be there because it was never conditioned to be specific to that site plan or that use, but, I mean, in essence, they're gonna use it to build a single-family home, so.
But at some point in the future, if somebody else wanted to build a multifamily, that variance would still be applicable to the property? Okay, just curious. Any other questions of the applicant?
The only variance for multifamily that I got was in the backyard.
Yes,
Because
yes.
it's in the law that you get 0 on all the front sides. So I'm really asking for, instead of 0 front setback, I'm gonna do 10 feet. And instead of 0 on the side, 5 feet, and instead of 5 on the back, 20.
Any other questions of the applicant?
No.
I have none. Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. I believe we have a speaker card.
We have a card from Mr. Ben Rubin, and we wish to address the board.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Ben Rubin, 126 First Street, South Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm new to this. I just did turn it off.
I'm pretty sure I'm
No,
like.
I'm just trying to make the timer start.
We're still trying to learn.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, I'm not on city council, I'm just on the board of adjustment. Okay, here you go. Go ahead, sir.
My wife and I live at the adjacent property, that would be one up on the one you see there. And these are very small lots. We had a real shoehorning battle a little over 20 years ago when we built our house. Existing on that lot, as you see in the picture, is a house and then kind of a garage with a room above. Ever since we moved in, we were looking forward to redevelopment and something that wasn't as old. I like the story about bomb shelters or whatever. Jack's Beach is that kind of city. Right now it's rented out, kind of the building, the garage, and the top. It's been rented out 3 ways. So if I have one good neighbor, the other 2 might be anything. So our hope, since we built ours, is that there would be some sensible redevelopment. We met Mr. Griggs at a BOA meeting a couple months back, and when he had his first draft, we've had a few brief conversations and believe that his current request for the single-family footprint with the setbacks
find it hard to believe that one person in one property could have two different rights. I would hope, but I'm not the lawyer here, that this would supersede the other, and some future time we're not living with, boy, that was approved back in 22, and then they approved something else. An opinion, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Is there anyone in the audience who's not filled out a speaker's card that wishes to speak? And if so, please fill out a speaker's card before you leave. Anybody? Okay. Hearing no further public speakers, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back before the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
I move we approve BOA 22-100022 as presented and discussed, which is
Second.
our development.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the item?
I think it's great that we're actually going from a multifamily to a single family in this area, for parking, other areas, aspects. I think it's great. I think it's great that the neighbors are involved so carefully. It speaks highly of the whole project.
I agree, and I also wanted to say thank you to staff. The staff report on this was riveting. I mean, twists and turns. I know, I think most of us have sat through all the times that this property has come before the board, so it is very nuanced and there's a lot of context there. So thank you for spelling that all out, and I agree with Mr. Trular. It's nice to see it come to this very amicable resolution among the neighbors. Any other discussion? Okay, can we please have a roll call vote?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yeah.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes. Mr. Griggs, your application has been approved. Can you call the next case, please?
Case number 22-100023, applicant Tom and Penny Yamamoto, agent Daniel Romano, owner Keiko Maki Trust, property address now at 2 3rd Avenue North, parcel ID 173-852-0000, legal description lots 1 and 2, block 40, Atlantic Park, current zoning RS2. 34-337E1C1 for front yard setback of 14 feet in lieu of 20 feet to rectify existing nonconformities in a single-family dwelling.
Thank you. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication on this agenda item?
I've had none.
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 Thank you. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give your presentation?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Daniel Romano, 1188 12th Street North, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, 32250.
Could you speak a little bit closer to the mic?
Yeah. 1188 12th Street North, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, 32250.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. And can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
We are in lieu of trying to get the setback from 20 foot to 14 foot due to existing building and renovating it up to the current codes in the existing footprint of these houses.
And I believe it's a non-conforming lot of record,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And the remodeling will leave the existing footprint as is.
Yes. 100% as is. We're just updating the roof and then remodeling the inside.
If the staff board didn't have any questions on it.
Any other questions of the applicant?
I'm just wondering what all these structures are around the property line.
The ones that are on, within 5 foot of the outside are being removed, and the ones that are in there's sheds on the existing property. So there's 2 sheds that have been removed, which is the one on the south east corner, which was in 3 feet of the property line that has been removed. The one on the west, south side of the building has been removed as well, which is within 3 to 5 feet of the existing building. The other sheds are existing, they're not being moved at this point in time.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I have none.
I've had none.
I'll now open the public hearing. I don't believe we have any speaker cards. Do we have any members of the audience who have not filled out a speaker's card but wish to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring the item back before the board.
Make a motion to approve BOA 22-100023 as it meets the land development code standards.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Pretty straightforward. Can't move the house yet.
Okay. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
John Moreland,
Yes.
Jeff Shular,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes. Your application has been approved. Can we call the next case, please?
BOA case number 22-10024, applicant Janet S. South, owner Janet S. South, property address 1118 Ruth Avenue, parcel ID 179937-0100, legal description, west half lot of 16, all of lot 17, and the east half lot of 18, block 11, Williams Coastal Boulevard Heights. Current zoning RS2. 34-337E1E for lot coverage of 52 in lieu of 35 maximum. 34-337E1G for accessory structure setbacks of 1 foot, 0 feet, and 4 feet in lieu of 5 feet minimum from the southern, western, and eastern property. Line certified nonconformities to existing concrete swimming pool deck. 34-373D for offset parking area setback of 0 feet in lieu of 5 feet, minimum to expand the existing driveway, and 34-392A1 for paver walkways of 0 feet in lieu of 2 feet minimum from the western and eastern property lines to construct new walkways and allow improvements to a developed single-family property.
Thank you. Please remember each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak once we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication on this agenda item?
I've had none. I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
Okay. Will the applicant please come forward and be sworn in to give any presentation?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Janet South, 1118 Ruth Avenue, Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
Thank you. Can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
Yes, my house is on a substandard size lot. It's only 50 feet. And much of the neighborhood was developed in the mid-1980s and exceeded the requirements for lot coverage. And much of the work that I want done is to repair existing driveway. The driveway is cracked and uneven, and I want to get that replaced with pavers. The yard is uneven, and I wanted a safe walkway to the back of the property.
Will that also be with pavers?
Yes.
So the pavers that go on the east and west side, those are not access to the front door. Your front door is still in front of the house, is that correct? You still have a front door access. Those pavers are not to it, just so I understand the building. You're asking for pavers on the left and the right side of the house, correct?
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand why you need both sides. If your front door-
Well, I was just going to do it because the sides of the yard are uneven. I wanted it a level walking path.
Could you do stepping stones as a
walkway on one side, pavers on another. And, one of the things in this that's incorrect, and I didn't receive the information until past the deadline to call you, but the driveway on the west side, which would be the left here, will not go to the property line. And the information you guys sent to me said that it would, but it will not, it will stay, oops, we lost it again, but it will stay where it is, not at the property line.
On the front of the house.
Yes, yes.
Was that counted towards the amount of coverage, area coverage?
I believe so. The site plan that was submitted, it's kind of hard to see, but this is the original survey and it shows
Right, there's space
that
there.
not being there. On the proposed site plan, it shows that as being filled in. That was what prompted that request. So it would reduce it by a small fraction if that wasn't included. But I don't know what that number would be.
Question staff, well, isn't the zero setback for accessory structure due to the walkway being added? Because you're around the property line?
It would also be for the driveway.
But
When we wrote this up, we were considering this portion was shown as being added on the site
that's
plan.
what's, yeah.
She's saying that they're not going to do that, so. One other quick, well, I have your guys' attention, on the site plan that was submitted originally, it had some lot coverage calculations, which the pool and pool deck, they counted the pool, which we don't actually count towards lot coverage, so that's why those numbers were adjusted to in handwritten form. But, the building as it stands today with the pool deck is at just over 50% lot coverage.
So it's not 52.
That would be with the request for the additional walkways.
And that's without the pavers being added. I'm trying to say.
Just over
That's-
50
that's
is
the
without the
52
papers.
request.
52 is with everything she's requesting.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that these are not permeable papers, because usually that's part of the request.
They're not, I had never heard of permeable pavers when pavers were ordered. I didn't know there was such a thing. I've learned a lot.
So you've already ordered the papers then, so there's, okay.
Yes, and that's a long story. I was told it was approved, but what was really approved, and I didn't know, was just the easement. And I was told you will get approval, so we ordered them, and then I didn't realize all of this. So, that's why they were ordered.
Didn't install.
No. They're sitting at the landscapers.
Any other questions of the applicant?
So you are receptive if we go one side, stepping stones?
Yes, that's a possibility.
And we did a calculation of 52 with the full driveway, correct, Christian?
Right, the 52, again, was provided by the applicant's, I guess, surveyor or contractor, but that included the driveway and both walkways.
The only concern would be how, well, basically, how to make a motion that says she's not gonna put pavers in on one side without telling her she can't put without stating it that way, because it would have to be tied to the percent of lot coverage. And I don't know if we would be able to estimate what the difference in percentage would be by removing the pavered walkway on one side.
Should we make stipulation? We could break it apart and make a motion for each one and adjust that one, because you have 1 and 0 is 4 feet in respective of condition, southern, western, eastern.
Right.
This is my power, which is the southern, what, can you explain about,
The southern is the pool.
pool, okay, so then that's the eastern to the left.
Yeah, roof is
Through the chair, just the way we wrote this up, it was split into existing non-conformities and then proposed additions. That's why it's kind of lengthy, but that should give you guys some room to figure out what you're actually approving.
Right.
And again, I can't speak to what the lot coverage would be, so I would err on the side of caution in that regard.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So one last question, the only thing driving additional, so I'm clear on this, the only thing driving additional, we estimate current is 50% is the paver walkways, is driving the additional 2%.
The paver walkways and the additional portion of the driveway, which he's not adding in. It was listed totally on the proposed site plan as 500 square feet for all of that. In essence, they said, I can find that. 500 square feet for proposed new paver walkway and driveway repair. So it wasn't split out individually.
And I have one last question, have you spoken to your neighbors about these applications? Neighbors?
One,
Okay.
and
I don't hear them.
he's here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I did just speak to neighbors across the street from me.
Thank you, that's the question I had.
Any other questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'll now open the public hearing. I believe we have 2 speaker cards on this item.
First speaker card is Kevin Phillips, who would like to address the board.
I wasn't going to back
Oh,
then.
you can come forward this one in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Sure. Kevin Phillips, 1066 Ruth Avenue. It's Brown Street. So I wasn't going to address. I was just going to say I don't agree. I have a house down the street, and my neighbor went through the same thing where she decided to pave her whole backyard, her whole side yard, and it flooded my yard consistently. I don't know what we're doing to change any of that, but I went and got a variance and I followed the rules and I put drainage in and I made sure that I'm not the problem in this neighborhood where we are very tight. But it looks to me like we're putting pavers right on the property line. Those are going to flood the neighbors. And I'm not one of the neighbors. I'm just telling you, I went through it. This is painful. Because they can't keep that from happening unless you guys put some kind of drainage in there. You know, and you can look at her pool back in the back, and again, I'm not picking on just her. I'm just saying that you guys continue to do this. And this, the one that I came and spoke to, you guys didn't approve. This person didn't get approval. They just decided to go ahead and do it because they wanted it. And it flooded my backyard. Then you guys made her pull up a whole bunch of pavers. That didn't do it. Because if she built her pool, I'm still getting flooded. You know, so again, we have to make sure we're putting the proper drainage in here. You know, when you guys are going to put it all the way to the property line, you guys got to help us here. I mean, we're just too close to each other to go right up against the property lines. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Can we have the next speaker card, please?
I have a card from Mr. Woodley. Woody, did you want to address the board?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Richard Woody, 1818 Horn Street, West Beach, 32250. If you go back to the overhead, I'm the neighbor directly to the south, silver roof. So I have the unfortunate circumstance of having 7 neighbors butt up to the lot, yes, and 4 of them have pools and a lot of concrete decks, so I honestly cannot afford another drop of water being shed onto my property. I flood sometimes standing water in the backyard for 3-4 days at a time, so my desire would be to add some kind of drainage so that no additional water goes onto my property. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to come up and address any of the comments made?
One thing that I just wanted it level, and to be perfectly honest, I'm getting up there in years, and my yard is very uneven, and I wanted it level for safety. And my drive is all cracked and uneven.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the audience who have not filled out a speaker's card and who wish to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
I have experience with papers in my house, and they don't always work fast enough. I just gotta have experience. And they're fairly new.
That's a true RGB.
I make a motion for case number 22-100024 approval.
I'll second it for the sake of discussion.
Thank you. I struggle with this. I'm trying to find the hardship.
Would you make a motion to approve it, but you're saying you don't find the hardship?
Yeah, I mean,
A motion to approve for
Yeah.
school discussion.
Oh, okay.
We-
Okay.
I could yeah, I sense, Havers can walk steps was resolved the question of this, with that. And am I correct, the Christian, that if you put Havers in, does not require, not Havers, I'm sorry, stepping stones?
Yeah, as long as they're, I don't know, the building official, exactly 12 or 18 inches and 24 inches apart, if they're on, pea gravel or something like that, we don't consider that lot coverage.
Now, to the applicant's concerns about her cracked and uneven driveway, I would certainly be in favor of letting her repave the driveway or replace it with stone pavers, as it in its current footprint. Would there still be, because I know there's non-conformity, sorry, this is a very long motion. If she just goes, if she gets denied flatly, can she still repave her driveway without any variances, or would she need variances to bring her property into compliance because it's a legal non-conforming structure?
In essence, she could leave the driveway in its current footprint and replace it, provided she didn't trip some 50% renovation requirement for the whole structure. But to your point, the driveway is 2 feet 4 inches from the property line. The driveway is not conforming in its current situation, but if she didn't expand it, she could replace it without variance.
Can I have a motion is it possible for, help me here, rescind the motion and,
withdraw your motion
but then we could bring them up individually, motions, and break them apart so we can understand clearly? Is that an option? So we're very clear on what motions we're passing? So we can, or,
I would say probably we just want to make a motion to approve individual parts, and then anything that's not expressly named, just by default would not be approved if we voted on it, right?
There's a motion that's on the floor right now,
so
so
I
we
can,
haven't approved that.
Okay, well, let's do that first then.
And so, since it's been subject to discussion, the maker has lost control over it. So basically, we come to the group, ask them either can you amend it or withdraw it at this point. And then if they say it's okay to withdraw it, then you can start over as if you made a motion.
Can I suggest a possible modification to the current motion? Then, and that it leaves it with a total lot coverage of 50%, and she can decide what much she can get there.
right now, the motion on the floor is to approve it as written.
It is.
So I would prefer to, if it's favorable, rescind my motion, and push a new motion onto the floor.
Withdraw.
Withdraw, thank you. Like, withdraw my motion.
And we don't need to vote on that? We do need to.
Yes, you have to, by consensus, say it's okay, or you subject it to.
All in favor of Jeff withdrawing his motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. over, which is the side walkways, because if it's restricted to 50%, then she really can't put down any more coverage. But Christian said that was a miscalculation, it's actually closer to 50.
To the chair, the correction was the 50.8. They originally had it at 57% if they were counting the swimming pool. So 51% would be.
So actually, if we were to approve the motion that was just made, they would need to pull something up.
Correct.
Well, yeah, that doesn't seem, I don't know, I would not be in favor of approving the motion that's on the floor because, I don't think that it makes sense to allow the pavers, but I don't want to take away lot coverage that she already has, including a potentially hazardous cracked driveway that she's gonna want to read.
Also, you also have an existing house.
Right.
Driveway and a step to the door.
If we deny it, but if it's approved at 50%, then she would have to take out, so that's just something to.
And bear in mind, there's still a non-conformity that we're not gonna be addressing, is the pool that's existing, I assume, that has the 0 on the, is it 1 foot on the south for the pool?
Which,
There's one that has the southwest, I think it's the south has a pool, 1 foot, which is existing with pool right now. Am I correct, Christian?
That's correct.
oh,
If
yeah.
we have a non-conformity that's not gonna be addressed, it's gonna exist as a non-approved non-conformity, let alone lot coverage difference. See that question as well.
Well, right now, we do have to address the motion at hand,
Right.
unless Mr. Moreland wanted to withdraw it. But I don't know if he wants to.
Let's go on.
The alternative is voted down and have another motion.
Yes. If it's voted down, we can have another motion? Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Moreland, are you in favor of that? Or would you prefer to withdraw?
Or do a substitute motion, is there another?
Let's vote on it.
All right, can I have a roll call vote to, on the motion that's on the floor currently?
John Moreland,
Yes.
Jeff Trular, Todd Smith,
No.
Jennifer Williams,
I'm sorry, I'm not clear what I'm voting on. The motion as amended, by Mr. Moreland for basically as it is now, except for 50% as opposed to 52. Mr. Moreland proposed 50%, and I wanted to say no to it, so then you would vote no. Okay, no. Thanks.
Lexi Gonzalez.
No. So that motion failed. Is there another motion any board member would like to make to discuss?
Make a motion on case number BOA 22-100024, with a lot coverage of 50.8% and a southerly setback of 1 foot.
To the chair, just quickly before we have a second on that. Everything from section that reads 34-337E1G for an accessory structure setback of 1 foot, 0 feet, and 4 feet in lieu of 5 feet minimum from the southern, western, and eastern property lines to rectify nonconformities to the existing swimming pool deck would be the existing nonconformities for the swimming pool. So it starts on the end of the first line and runs to the fourth
That's
one.
just for the
So you
pool.
might just want to read that to the end of that phrase. Yeah.
So since it doesn't have a second, can we rephrase my motion?
Is that okay? there a second?
I'm not sure how you modify the motion.
He modified, he's not approving,
They were.
basically, if you look at the motion, he's
Well,
only
after
moving
swimming pool,
to,
anything after that.
is not,
Correct.
it was also modified for 50.8% instead of 52. So is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now we can discuss. And so just to make sure everybody's on the same page, this essentially lets her maintain the lot coverage percentage that she currently has according to staff, 50.8%. So she will be able to maintain her driveway on its current footprint, but repave. And it will correct it will bring her nonconformity of the pool deck into conformity based on the land development code, and anything else will not be addressed in this motion and thereby will not be approved. Any discussion?
We'll see
I just do. Any discussion on the motion?
I have none.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff Truelar,
Yes.
John Mullins,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes. Your application has been approved as amended.
Will I receive this in writing, because I'm still confused?
Yes, ma'am, and if you need to call me, I can help you with it as well.
All right, thank you.
Can we call the final case, please?
PUA case number 22100025, applicant Sean
Gusky.
I'm sorry?
Gusky.
Gusky, thank you. Agent Bob Hamill, Henderson Pool,
Hamill.
owner Sean Zeke. Property address 815 17th Avenue North, parcel ID 175-211-0000. Legal description, lot 17, block 4, beach home sites, unit 3, current zoning RS1. 34-336E1E for lot coverage 46% in lieu of 35 to allow for construction of new swimming pool, deck, and widening an existing driveway to an existing family dwelling.
Thank you. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak once we open the public hearing. Does any board member have an ex parte communication on this agenda item?
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
Thank you. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give your presentation?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Bob Hamill, 725 McCollum Circle, Neptune Beach.
Thank you. And can you please describe the nature of your hardship at this property?
The lot is a substandard size lot for RS1. If it was a standard size lot, being 10,000 square feet, and we were 35% lot coverage, we would only be getting an extra 42 square feet. So it's basically asking for a variance based on if it was a standard size lot for the zone.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Do you know the existing current lot coverages?
The existing,
It's in the staff report. It's 36.5.
7,700 square feet.
It's 36.5%.
36.5, there it is, thank you. And, I don't know if you heard this question earlier, did anybody talk to you about urban neighbors as part of an application process?
no sir.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I have no questions.
And this swimming pool wall has not been put in yet.
essence, they have to be able to provide 2 parking spaces. Parking space being 9 by 17. They have a 34-foot driveway, so I do not believe that would be just long enough for 2 cars,
As it stands.
as it stands now.
So it's essentially doubling the amount of parking by adding the extra driveway.
Right.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I've done,
Okay. I'll now open the public hearing portion of this agenda item. We do not have any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who's not filled out a speaker card who wishes to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing and bring the item back before the board for discussion. Is there a motion on this item?
I move we approve BOA 22-100025, because it has a true hardship to it, going to be an undersized lot.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I mean, just from seeing the site plan and aerial, even though they are exceeding 35%, it is massively undersized, and I think that they're still, they're not kind of building out all the way to the edges.
That's what the second part of your calculation, calculating 35%, this is a true 10,000 square foot lot. I'm supportive of it.
Looks like it's laid out as good as they can get.
Any other discussion? All right, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
John Rowland,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Alexi Gonzalez.
Yes. Your application has been approved.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, planning department reports.
We do have I think another full caseload for the 19th. The other thing I just wanted to mention, because it's come up kind of tonight as well, but the building department's working on some procedures for the pool installation that will basically remove the option for a fully coping-only pool. There'll be minimal requirements for some type of either landscaping or paving of certain width around the pool, because frankly this issue comes up consistently, and we have a fair amount of things that happen after the pool's been approved that end up coming to us for coverage, and we catch on the backside as violations. So this is an attempt to both mirror what Atlantic is doing and hopefully resolve some of these issues going forward.
So if they push forward and say they don't have a permanent surface such as the grass in the application, it wouldn't come in front of the board, correct?
Right, they can do turf, they can do grass, but they can't just put down the pine straws, and they have to do a full landscaping plan or do a paving plan or something along those lines. We'll see how it goes.
Now that still has to be approved by city council, right? Because it's a modification of land development code.
It's not a modification of land development code, it's basically a requirement of a permit for the building department, so it's under the purview of the building official, whether he would require some type of stabilization around the pool. Quickly, one thing I apologize.
Yes.
So with regards to the land development code, the committee did select a consultant to start the land development code and comp plan revised process. We'll be taking that to council with that selection, hopefully for approval to start negotiations. The goal is to begin the process in May. May will probably be mostly that contractor doing analysis of the code and things like that, but hopefully starting early in the summer we'll begin public hearings and public input process. Starting with the comp plan and then going into the land development code. It's anticipated to be an 18-month process, so fingers crossed we'll be starting soon on that.
Next item, courtesy of the floor to visitors. Anybody in the audience wish to address the board? Come on up.
I just have a couple questions. Should I state my name?
Can you please come in just as a visitor? All right. No, apparently not. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Rich. I live on Rodney Street. In any case, I just have two questions. I was just curious, would it be appropriate to, in the future, ask the question we need to create a variance for. I feel like we've got rules to keep the, honor the conditions that we've set forward. And I've been here a few times just when neighbors ask for things. I'd be curious to see what is your rejection rate. I mean, I feel like I come here and I don't know, I've seen maybe one person get denied. I mean, I feel like these people are targeting Jack's Beach because they know that the rules and the variance is going to be granted. People aren't going to want to be or Atlantic Beach, which is why their property values are higher. It's just, I don't have any evidence, that's just how it seems. I guess my second question is, as far as the property that you just approved with the double wide driveway, et cetera, you said a guest house on the property as well as a regular, normal, regular house. Would it be appropriate to ask, is this an Airbnb, short-term rental situation? And is that something that the board should be looking at? Because I know there's a few in our neighborhood, and they're not a huge issue, but it is an issue. I wouldn't want it next to my house with people every 2 days coming in and, people on vacation, they're staying in there and, oh, it's great, it's really nice, and they're up all night, and, we've got to live in the neighborhood. So I guess that's my two questions. One Airbnb question for these people, is that why you're making the driveway wider? And the first question was, why is it a hardship when 6 months ago you bought the property and you knew what the existing conditions were?
Thank you, Rich.
Sure.
As for the Airbnb, I can address that one first, and please feel free to interject. But it's outside the purview of our board to ask about the use of a property in that regard. If the homeowner goes through the proper permitting process with the city to get a short-term rental license, which is permitted by the city, that was voted on, I believe, maybe 3 years ago or so, that short-term rentals for uses such as Airbnb were allowed in the city as long as you go through the proper process. We're not allowed to make decisions based on that criteria. And then as for the hardship, it really has more to do with the code and the properties than this board. I know we seem very authoritative up here in our chairs, but we really are bound by six very specific criteria as it relates to the land development code. So a hardship is created if a person has aspects of their property that don't conform to the land development code. So if, most of Jacksonville Beach, or at least half, I would say, the standard size lot is supposed to be 10,000 square feet. So if somebody purchases a home in residential RS1, which has a 10,000 square foot standard lot size, and the lot that they purchase is only 8,500 square feet, they purchased a non-conforming lot, and that's not their fault per se. It's just non-conforming based on the code, and that's why, as you heard our staff member mention, we are beginning the process with a consultant to review the code and make amendments to it to potentially alter aspects like that so that fewer lots of record are by default non-conforming, which would then lead to fewer variances having to be granted. But that's where the need for a variance comes in, is when lots are non-conforming just because of the way that they were platted, almost 100 years ago, some of them. And we're bound by the 6 criteria that we can make decisions upon that relate specifically to the code and what's considered standard and conforming versus substandard and non-conforming.
If I may add on, my understanding is that the state legislature has taken out of the hands of local communities the option of making restrictions on Airbnbs. So it's an example of, in my mind, legislative overreach
tonight, actually, of the 6 cases, I think, we had one was actually a denial that was approved, but they didn't get what they wanted.
And also the staff works with the applicant and probably is known to see us because they know they're going to be automatically not approved. And as part of the process, the staff works with the applicants as well.
I understand.
But it's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question, follow-up to that is, if 10,000 square feet is what's a conforming lot in Jack Beach, I don't.
In some areas, not all areas.
I don't know anywhere where I would see that. I mean, the beach is even smaller than our neighborhood. I mean, I've got one of the largest lots at about 7,000 square feet. I think all the rest are 5, maybe.
And the same thing is, I think you're also seeing everybody's breaking lots now because they're platted. That's
Yeah.
2 plats in one lot and a half. It's another conversation.
So
I still recommend go to city council with your concerns.
Okay.
And that's why as a board, we can't go to the city council like that.
All right, interesting, thank you.
Any other visitors that wish to address the board?